Concerns were raised regarding Transnet's plan to give its slots to private sector due to non-profitability. Transnet told the Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises yesterday that theft, vandalism and underperformance continue to put Transnet's revenue in a dire situation. There has been an over 1,000% spike in cable theft over the last 5 years, with a 100-kilometre of cables being stolen every single month. This and related security costs have escalated the state-owned entity's cost revenue. Now, during last week's mining indaba, President Cyril Ramaphosa and Mineral Resources and Energy Minister Gwede Mantashe voiced concerns over the decline of Transnet, which has put a strain on mining exports. Transnet told the Portfolio Committee of its reform process and plans to revitalise rail. Public Enterprises Portfolio Committee Chairperson Khaya Magaxa joins us to discuss this now. Khaya, thank you for joining us. It's so lovely to have you.
You're welcome, madam, and your listeners.
So, Khaya, the committee seemed confused or shocked by the plan to give away slots to the private sector as they are not profitable. Is that not a move away from its developmental role of job creation and a move more towards privatization?
Well, that is exactly the problem we have identified as committee members. Almost all the committee members are concerned about the move to allow a lot of private entities to enter at Transnet to the extent of bordering towards privatization of the entire entity. And that concerns us a lot. Yes, we were informed by Transnet through their presentation that they are allowing the participation of the private sector, investing in operating in some of the railway networks, including also in the port of Durban, on the same basis that those areas are not profitable. But our concern is that Transnet was never be an entity that is to accumulate profit at all costs. Transnet is supposed to play a developmental role. Losing Transnet is also losing jobs, is also losing security, and also in our transformation program, which is about helping small, medium enterprises who are, by and large, black people to participate in that entity. Yeah. Because private sector doesn't have that kind of an agenda.
I mean, in last year, it was reported that coal exports from Richards Bay Terminal were at a 30-year low last year, while the value of exports increased by 2.5%. So, I mean, at the mining indaba, we heard that the past 2 years have been characterized by good commodity prices in South Africa. This, of course, boosting South African mining companies' earnings and also helping tax collection, making commodity prices South Africa's real salvation for the past 2 years. However, South Africa's export capacity is subject to Transnet's ability to transport these goods to and from ports for shipments overseas. And what we're hearing and what we keep on seeing is that it appears that Transnet is the weakest link in the development of the country from that respect. I mean, can we agree on something like this?
Yes, of course. The reality of the situation is that Transnet, among all these state-owned entities under the Department of Public Enterprise, has been the most profitable one that has not been worrying the treasury with a lot of seeking money and all that. They have been self-reliable. Therefore, on those bases, we don't see a need for Transnet to embark on private, even if it's not profitable. But I don't think the solution will be seeking for private entity to take over. Transnet has a lot of potential to improve its own. If there is any problem, we would like that problem to be identified. For example, if there is a problem of delivery among Transnet, that's what needs to be put on table, so that as members of parliament whose role is to play an oversight, we can assist in terms of finding a way out from that particular. If we need to, because it's not even also a taboo for Transnet if they're experiencing any economic problem or financial problems, including profit problem. If there is a need for that, we do have a mechanism that we can, because it's not a taboo for Transnet to seek assistance from Treasury, being an entity that never worry a lot or put a lot of pressure on fiscus in the past. Therefore, the Transnet has been able to rule. Now, bringing private sector where there is no need, as we believe as members of parliament, that at this stage, there is no dire need for Transnet to seek private involvement at all. Therefore, to us, is this thing of not being private, of not being profitable, is just a mechanism to privatize an entity that has not experienced any serious problem. Transnet's problems are only self-created problems that can be done without seeking any private entity involvement.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It certainly is, because I mean, when we look at the state of Transnet, and I mean, we read stories that 100 kilometers of cables are stolen every single month. I mean, the amount of money, 1,000% spike in cable theft. You know, this is a very difficult situation. When you look at the state of the rails, you look at the train. It is. You know, one wonders how this is going to actually be repaired. And I mean, again, going back to the mining indaba, which is very, very important to us in South Africa, it was also said that Transnet is actually a bigger nightmare for the industry than Eskom. This is it's a big worry. It really is.
We do have a law enforcement in this country. When we experience such corruptions of theft of cables, of stealing of petrol or oil and all those kind of developments that we just witnessed in the few months ago, those are issues that have been identified, and everybody's aware that there are those problems. Those problems can also be solved by the state. That's why we were calling for public-public partnership in dealing with those problems. We do have police that can be deployed, including if it comes to a serious situation, we can even bring defense force to protect the public, the public interest. Therefore, in this instance, you don't need securities to deal with it, because these private entities are the same private entities that were linked to state capture. You must take this into consideration. That state capture was not about public state stealing in public, not really. Instead, state officials were used by the same private sector to undermine public properties by stealing them, by corrupting them. Therefore, bringing private sector, you are bringing the same people that have been highlighted in the state capture of undermining our state by accumulating at all cost.
I mean, there's also been speaking now of launching a dedicated infrastructure function to oversee network. I mean, we spoke about the cable theft. Are there no security companies employed? And what is Transnet doing about it? I know that you say that there of course we do have a police service and SAPS and people that can do this, but they don't seem to be doing their job. So, you know, talk more about how we can improve that.
Our view as members of this committee, because we are really skeptical about the involvement of private sector, because we know what private interest did in our state. We are in this problem because of private interest. South Africa has been experiencing loss of a lot of billions through stealing, through corruption. Therefore, to us, the solution to improve any of our problems, especially in our public owned state entities is still relied on our government, on our state. Therefore, that's why we want to push for state, for public partnership. If another entity within or another public partner can assist improving the problems that we experience in our own public-owned enterprises, we can deal with this problem. Our government has just also added a couple of police. Some of those police can be deployed in protecting our rail. Some of the police can be used to protect our own pipes that are used to transport oil and everything. Therefore, to us, we still believe that there should be a necessity to use our own equipment, our own property, or our own investment to protect what we have. We cannot allow private sector to continue milking down and destroying the little that we have. Otherwise, we'll end up being a very weak state that doesn't have any capacity to transform this society, that have no capacity to develop our country. Therefore, for us to develop South Africa, we still have to use what we have more and exhaust on it. We are not saying private sector doesn't have a place to, they too have a place to play everywhere where we can, but not at the expense of the same state.
Okay. Khaya, just very quickly, we've got about a minute to the news, but we heard that the DA saying that SOE Minister Pravin Gordhan misled the Public Enterprises Portfolio Committee when he said that Transnet was showing green shoots of progress, to quote him, basically saying Transnet is it's now, in fact, close to liquidation. What is your assessment as we quickly wrap this up of Transnet?
No, I think they are just prophets of doom on that. DA, I don't think they are, because they always, DA, you must understand that they always put the interest of the private sector. Always, they are pushing their agenda. In fact, they are more comfortable by the involvement of private sector in all the state-owned entities. If it was according to their wish, all the state-owned entities should be sold to the to the private sector. And that's not the view of the majority of the committee. We feel that Transnet is still doing better than any other entity currently. And we like Transnet to continue doing that so that we can improve the quality of our people.
All right, we leave it there. Thanks for talking to us. That of course, is Khaya Magaxa. He, of course, is the Public Enterprises Portfolio Committee Chairperson. Now, Transnet basically telling the Parliamentary Committee that rampant theft, vandalism continue to put its revenue in a dire situation, and concerns were raised regarding Transnet's plan to give its slots to private sector because of non-profitability. And that's the response from the Portfolio Committee Chair.